Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, listeners. It's me, 𝗙𝗲𝗏𝗏 𝗙 coming back on Facebook Live. Today is Monday, the 14th of February, 2022. The time is just gone 4 minutes past 4 in the afternoon in Birmingham, England. If you just bear me a minute, let me share this video, then we can start the program. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's Monday, and the topic to discuss actually is to analyze a program that I came across yesterday on 𝗙𝗿𝗏𝗏, and the program, the video was a journalist, one of 𝗙𝗿𝗏𝗏 journalists, visited the market. I think it's KMC, by Serekunda Market, and had a series of interviews with traders, mainly women traders, and trying to find out the reason, or giving them a voice for them to explain what the reasons are behind the price rise, the inflation. And watching the program, it was very revealing, and revealing for many reasons. But and the main thing to take away from it is the government failure. It's the government failure, and the other thing is to debunk the excuses been given, or the blame been pushed onto the people, the traders, the youths, or Gambians for that matter, been blamed for what the problems are, or foreigners been blamed for the problems are. But again, to expose entirely how government failed to create an environment that can give people the first thing that they need is to be fed well, so that they can afford their basic needs before aspiring for other things. In fact, it's very revealing, and that's why I think it's a good idea. I'm going to play the video in segments. Different women. I'll play it out for people that have not heard it, and analyze what I think can be taken from there. But I know you too would do the same thing when you hear their plight, and it's quite emotional. It's quite an emotional thing to listen to, and but it gives us a better understanding, and I hope people will from there on continue to hold this government accountable and understand where we're going. And for 5 years, they failed completely. This is absolutely proof of their failure. And again, we will not take away corruption from it. Why we are not going to take off corruption from it? The money that was meant to go to the institution, the sectors that would have created the environment are not going there. All those monies have been siphoned. But again, from the testimony from the traders, you can hear all these allegations or the facts that they have put out there. But again, interesting, seeing the headlines that 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗏 is saying that government cannot do anything that they are not producing. And Gambia, this is it. You know, listening to the program yesterday, I've not had one person talk about tribe. One person talk about tribe. This was about market forces. About market forces. Now, because of the government went out there and sold them a divisive policy issue, the government have no policy. The government never sold a policy. That's why they cannot deliver anything. But 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗏 came out, the Minister of Tourism. He's not the finance minister or anything, but he came out with another crap, for that matter, saying that government is not responsible, or government cannot do anything about it. But from this woman, from the testimony, actually, the traders are subscribing policy. What could be done to alleviate the suffering of the people? But if the minister comes out and say things like this, we should not be surprised. And one thing again, and you will hear that from the women themselves, is the government don't care. The ministers don't care. Because it does not affect them. It does not affect them. They don't care. And hence they believe that we are divided. They can always blame someone else, or they can always blame a group, be it a tribe, be it foreigners, be it the youths, be it Gambian traders, or being Gambians not going into trade, market selling or anything. They will do any blame rather than take the responsibility. But it's up to us because we know the facts. But this again debunks this issue of, no, you guys are in the diaspora, you don't know what's happening in the country. I know it's silly, but I would just want to have something here because recently I made a post. And one of our brothers that went for holidays in December came back and said that you should visit and see what is actually happening. I don't know what's happening there. But it's just to express his ignorance. This day and age. Not that I am only connected to my friends and family. That's enough to know what is happening there. I'm still taking responsibilities on the ground. That's enough to know. I am paying tax. That's enough to know. I'm not dependent on services, but I have people dependent on services. I'm paying the services for. It's enough to know, be it school, be it medical, be it anything else. It's depend to know what is happening. But again, with the social media, an interview like that, we follow because we have interest. They will tell you, boy, you don't know what is happening. You guys don't know what is happening. You're in the diaspora, you don't know what is happening. That's all a divisive way of trying to silence you, or to try to move from the context of you talking about. What am I saying? Am I lying? No. He did not come to say that what I'm saying is I'm lying, but she's saying that I don't know. Trying to say that probably I'm out of context. But he did not attack the context. These are issues that we need to, that's why these conversations are very important, especially this conversation that we hear from the people on the ground themselves. I would, again, I would say thank you very much to 𝗙𝗏𝗏 and the person, the journalist. Unfortunately, I don't know the name of that journalist. It's 𝗙𝗿𝗏𝗏𝗃. I mean, the program is 𝗙𝗿𝗏𝗏𝗃 at Sayakuna Market. I've followed these programs actually, and I have seen in many circumstances they went to women guardians and interviewed them for their problems. And these are things again. Women guardians are crying out, they can't afford water, there's no water. Women gardeners are crying out, the premises of their gardens cannot afford to fence the premises. Women gardeners are, complaining about all of things that they need to be supported. And all these things would be discussed here today again. These are all things that government can make a difference. But let's listen from the horse's mouth. If you bear me a minute, I have to forward it to where it starts. Okay, I'm gonna start the. I'm going to select few. I don't want to put the whole hour on. I'm going to take them one after the other, and we analyze them one after the other. And a lady here, an elderly woman actually, was interviewed, and you can hear the interview, and I'll try and interpret it for other people that can speak Mandinka. Let me know if you can hear it loud and clear.
Ya wafi ninto fanin data ngasema naina yo barsa yo fa ala buka jabu ka moy fere abuka soto sa nyeka bonan dalindo kunun kontrol la mol data data senekal data ni sanna wala nye buka soton to laja o kole abe larin ka yaja den nanyil jelar de yey men jeta nyi mur nane dala se kebelu ba sawo sa me kala nyaade nda sa men defa na ngay nane ta mur nane dala se kebelu sa mba kala 150 ninga ka 150 wala mur nane wala mu kema worote asal ko sa sawoten me ana sawoten yala keni so de na bamuta keni so de bamuta be ba ko no wala be demu ninna jala tiel tade jalo fay ba ko trola liya be kun ida jalo di da ganni ba fule ba ko la ikata jalo be kun tra kun ken sama burna sa nde banu la nyaade ba sot la nyaade aba ko le ala le sa ginna ka bonan den Senegal dol ngel ka bonan Senegal la kanaja ni Senegal ni man soto don nyeta soto abe mulo ko na tay wala mun na Korea bundas
yabula mero alen Korea ko hadi do mate ko yamuna abonu nyadida juma ma bunna nakam
ni Korea ko ben be bolla ko yara ni Korea ko ni kumu akola be tem momento banko to nyaale bukata mai banko sai kiti buli e bang le ko lo to nyaale bukato nya semende hadi simanza semende ya nya bar memu to nyaade so ko bari mansa manjawya bari muole mansa sim mansa manjawya membe be mansa bala wole mansa jawya wole ati wole fanyi ko le afen bari ko le ni adara mansa ko do nata wole nyanta kala ye balwala itoli ya besi ka ita bunyi malo e mota ni malsa itoli ba bor la ko no borda lo bidando borda da wala me ndo jiya do ko no ja o jiya do be da ran to la kan sai ni te be mansa ko ndeta buke ko mo mi ibe dele mansa bale da kuma nyi mafura anu dele mansa la safu no ita nyanta mansa kula senya o do ta nyanta kuma nyi mala fala men si mole atinna mansa simu alonko mune be ko ba ni de asoto ya kuntu ni wuli tannem ye wuli kono to be kuntu ye wuli kilon siketa di molle ko ni na be kere ata o man tara kere sai ya me banko so ne asot la nyaadi ite ga mo jimma bol ni eta ye bu njawlo la korda ko ite ye la korda be de day manu sewul sanna ibe pasul sanna ibina mar soko ne be pasul sanna ibe ni len din baat ite la ko be man sa kundanya
no bunya ko ale masala kolia e kadri fam filan de njaay ni ko afro kija kadri masala kolia ni mero
sai ndol be mar soko kolia ni la nyaadi
kadri fonda samia
sai ni na fewo so da jawla fo nyanda fi awafi la purada nyanda hotel ni na fewo so da nda jawla fa dan bar awafi la men fandi fe sila ngawa fi fandi fe so da menka non ko fa dan fandi fe sila men dara kan fandi so do no
e kada mi la ka san
abukasia kuma ndo saga ni amira kemelu dala si kemelu paso nan ka kuntun nan kana bo be oje nyola amanje mo nyoko ma de paso ka kuntun nan afutaja sani e kuntun de keme taworo wala jo paso la ka botanje kanaja sa e te nyanta ni te o kebo ko no te be moro bondi ko kin palato dala stanna
kina fa sanje
ko ka kina sanje ko ka kin be moro sanje ko palato sa palato mo dala stanule Mani palato dala 25 sa wori be ka woni ne ba iko be la jimbari mi la do yowal to ko ma balu en nyanta wal fana nyanta balu sa son dala sone ala nyadi
sa no ya ko abe mo ma ka fo ko ni mansalo do ko ada solo sa do be blum la
ko le antel be mansalo bile
mansalo no nyadi
ya jambe mansalo bile ko le adam be banko kam masa tulo bala nyaba anu meli baba le tulo bala nyaba ita mo tulin gele jam men sina e baka so nyinin kala ina da baka so nyinin kala jaw yatal fama jam ita mo tulin gele men be complain na baka so la masa kunda ko ibe be kuntilo mole
be kuntilo
mole ko karinda man nyamba ministre mo men ka fa marsa ko la de ka fa be tiata dari hari la ministre mata ko borol ka suto bor bu ka suto mo be nyaaba tin dala alo tak dunia bete ma ko le be tiare o du ko be tinyare sai wo to nyaaba fo la nyaa
Marse bedara.
Marse man betea. Marse man kada betea.
Sai bero, ina nyaka buja, na da mun yin mam san amman ban mero. Iko ni ngadi.
Nin mam ba san. Ka pa ki tan ngasi ngase. Nin mam pa so do man nyondol do.
Ka julo julo.
Amba julo la ko. Julo ka wonyanta julo.
Ma julo.
Ani ka julo. Julo. Ibo julo ba force. Ye julo tiere julo ta. Ita la be fo julo bari be julo tiere julo. Ha.
Say, you must be given sign. And then Mr. Minmota, Fancola, I must say the Julia Fancola, Safarola. You know the friend. Then for a minister and for Martha Julia Safarola, Bangkok. Mbafara Sanya la dunia mori kibeko. Minister Niaja Sidafala so the Mola Cindy. Ni mol me bula muda yes in the yeta sidaki. Odo si barafa moli. Ye barafa bankoe. Ye barafa bari to the cover neno me baso la ye barafa. Every you want the minister, you want Massa, I don't borrow Massa. I'm a minister at the minute. But I'm a minister in the Barafara moon. I don't borrow a cattle bag of Dugula Massoula can the Kajaco Massa from that Massaco. Not a Catola. I have a Catola Banco, the same many banu manual market. There are many banu oil Martinella. You minister that the Garam Baron Massa and thing. Mother many binat. But many labor no offend killing the day, they are on the Daro and Baku. What a man of Adamariata. Adamariata, Minister killing the day is our Minella, let that say, come on, the body can make a Banco. What Atina, Amaniata Tasso. You president Baramon, a month and Calamudeta, Bandera Yakalam. It is a Cadeka and Nutella Marta. What are some water, President? Neither other killing the way they are when you mind. Yabunya malo yeta especially abungo ida mardi madomola iko kuntela nyuma kuso to nimbo yere to nyafo ko to nyantela kumuta ida minister dunya betu nyara bekere abekere net nika fo to nyantela kumuta bere bekere nika do ko ya men ko ni sila jam paso fa ni kebe ludo wa uli tanse ngoto oto yakata ajibe mo fa ndu mo ka be marse ko fedde ko ya nimbe Lulu Kene Kundo, or Lake of Kene Kundo, Kevin Kene Kundo, Nina. It is Senala Mamkas. Or the minister, many you know, maybe Tinaro. It is a mirror, and Mr. Yamala may disappoint. Minister disappoint. Barola Minister Day, you can call the disappoint. Barola Minister Day, Banco de disappoint. In Tinaro and the carry Minister Lea. Banco minister many matter Bormo, no matter Masakundaro, no matter from Ferma, Ideale Tignaro, Joe, Imanda Derek. Ideale Tignaro came under Derek. And to Melanie Tignaro coming here on the Daroka, Mansaka Betanola, you come on it. I think a Massa Saman and Carla Betana, Ninja was Wajo Sifal Banum, at a Betano. I think a Massa Saman and Jamcomba Betana, Ninja Wajo Sifal Banum at a Betano. Sintosi di masa moja ni be masa no maibano mayemo kendo lo ni ngaji da next na fa man be tay baje bar mo kana ni mu da ko kafan ta malta mu kam ya bankot na mara na kan to nya da muro fa ya da muro ndanya ta la marlo kan ni nya de la kuriya de tulo bale ita balaji ita resign ita da yaje bandara ba ita resign bandara ban ko je tu mo ni men la nyuka ni mo kendo do lebu ita resign na banko bu Karindana famu ninja famu yen kujana be kudato yen sensi fa fo mamba fo ndari sana la ka abu bande ni mira la ka fo ko nga loka nga bamba ka am ni tilimoni jengo be la abara ala alfane baraka almare ndar so si mala ninja de kende albe banko do ko la almare ya di alirwa almare ya
as we can all hear that, it's quite emotional. And I love this woman. I just love this woman. And you know, again, this have debunked the issues to say that our mothers or elderly people don't understand. They are not aware. This woman have articulated issues here that most of us struggle to articulate. And let me start from some of the things that she said, of not word for word. Not word for word. For people probably that did not understand what the woman was saying. The woman talked about the fish coming from Senegal. They have to go over to Senegal and get the fish through Karang and to Serekunda. And the woman have explained the reason why. He said that they used to get fish from Tangier, now they cannot afford to get the fish from Tangier. Because what the woman is selling the salt fish, what we call geja. Selling the salted fish. Now they cannot afford to get the this thing from this thing. And the woman explained to say that, look, the fishermen, local fishermen cannot. They go out in sea, the trawlers will come in and disturb their, push them out, technically to push them out, cut their nets or whatever. Now the local fishermen are going out, but they are not getting anything from the sea. Now our women, this women have to go out. Cost them more to go out to Senegal. Cost them to go and use exchange the dollars to save her to buy the stuff, to come to the Gambia to sell it. This is the first thing she talked about. Now, how can government not responsible for this? Who is responsible for our marine resources? I'm replying to Ahmad, I'm replying to Mamboure Njie, I'm replying to the trade minister for all the statement of this is where we holding them accountable. For 5 years, the fisheries industry have got worse. For 5 years now, it got worse. Gambians cannot afford fish. What policies? This is where government comes in with policies. Not only policies, and in creating that environment so that we can have ownership of that industry. We haven't got ownership of the industry. The woman have pointed out the Chinese, for that matter, taking all the fish away. That's one area. Then I'm leaving the rest for others to digest themselves, because it's going to be a long program. I don't want it to be that much this thing. I just leave it for others. It's just open for it's just plain open there. I can just play these things and leave it to go without analyzing it, because they've done it well. But let me move on. The woman talked about the truth, that people around the president who tell them the truth. But he said they don't care. The woman said they don't care, because they build their big houses, they drive their fancy cars, and they come to the market and buy food for their families. They can afford it. That's what the woman have explained. And this is the same thing we talked about. The woman said they don't care, the ministers don't care. They don't tell the truth to power. It's not about telling the truth only, but they are in charge. They are in charge. They should, be making sure the policies are right. We understand that there's a global crisis in food and everything, but if you handle your economy better, you can do better. The problem with Gambia, we haven't got an economy. The woman continued to say, cost of produce and talked about self-defense and fares. The woman explained that, look, they should not be blamed, because that's what the narrative that comes out. Or the breads are expensive because Gambians are not selling bread, because foreigners are selling bread, or traders are wicked. No, we try to insulate government. We don't want to. Especially those people that say that they support government. I do this because I know it's a lie. They don't support government. They support themselves, because they're psychophant, they are part of the corruption, or their family members are part of the corruption. That's what they support. Especially if they're in the diaspora here. They don't support government. We know what they do. Supporting government, that's not what support government is. Telling truth to power. But the woman said that, look, the cost, remember, they have to go out to Senegal to buy it. They have to change foreign currency. They have to pay fares to come through, through this thing. And someone else going to win. There's another woman I'm going to play that goes deep into the cost of transport. But another thing the woman said, that she had to pay for a plate for food, $50. That's the lunch. Plate for food, $50 a day. That's not the lunch she's provided or supporting the husband to provide at the house. That's for her, this thing, and $25 for the breakfast. People that say, oh, if bread is expensive, go and buy mono. He said $25 for mono. Rui. People say rui, porridge or pap, you call it. $25. Now the woman is already spending $75 is for being at the market, and other costs that are coming in. And the woman said again that government officers don't come and speak to them because they don't care, she said. The woman talked about taking credit, that some of the goods, they'll take it as credit. And they have to pay for this credit. They have to pay for this. Regardless of how the markets are, they will have to pay. They will have to pay. And he talked about fares, having to pay transport to get there and other things. The woman talked about empathy. He said the ministers lack empathy. They lack empathy, and this is the fact. Because again, she explained, they don't care. They have their big houses, their big cars, and they can afford it. They don't care about the people. And she said that you will struggle to sell $500 out of goods of $10,000. $500 you would struggle to sell from a good of $10,000. Again, that shows you how aware these women, people are, and we say that they're not aware. The the last point the woman made is resign. The woman said, look, all the allegations going around, these people should resign. And she said, if those allegations were on her, she would resign. Who said that these people don't understand governance? Who said that these people are not aware? I think this is the areas, and I keep on saying it, why certain things are not different too, we'll have to blame the opposition. This is the things that the opposition should tackle. And tackle these women and agitate on these positions and tell them what they're going to do different. We have seen the difference in Senegal, where Sonko and others and anti-establishment candidates who come around to explain everything. Even where Macky Sall think that he's developing something, building a railway station, they will come and attack the project. Not that they don't want the project, but they explain how the project could have been done efficiently, how the project could have been more beneficial. And what they could have done better, or what they would have do in its place. This is where we expect our politicians to be. But we have politicians talking about that Valentine's is haram and other things. Or we think that just go to the papers and give one interview, yes, I've done your bit. Get down to the people. Get down to the people. I have not heard the woman talk about tribe. I have not heard the woman blame foreigners. But these are issues that she raised that need what? Policy, that need initiative, that need capacity to build on it and to be delivered. And who is responsible for our taxes? The government. Let's move on. As I said, we can go on with this forever, but let's hear their voice. You have had enough of 𝗞𝗿𝗏𝗏. Let me move to another, just bear me a minute. I just want to bring someone else. 36 minutes. What I'm doing is I am selecting based on some of the things I've picked up, but I'll tell you the entire program is wonderful. All the women and the gentlemen interviewed there, they're just wonderful. They just put it as it is. I'll try, if I have time, to play all of them, but I've already selected few so that we can cover the program. Let me play another woman. Just a minute. I'm just going to end it and that will serve. Just a minute. This one is gonna start.
Ay, fanan sita sending soro ye dimbati el mumbe. Wala nga fendo ta fam nga la fe ni. Kuru se fenso.
Okay. I will try and put the video so that you can see the expression from the traders themselves. I think it will help to see how passionate they are. The first lady, unfortunately, I have not put that much of the video, but you can see the passion, and you can see, and I think you will feel it best. I want people to feel what these people are going through. I want us to use our empathy to understand what they're going through. There's another young lady. This is a young lady been interviewed, and let me play the young lady.
So bengon khala da nga gende li anyo te ko fi dislo kilian kena bunyi bula la ci sa price ngo ko mu ne ser fekk yow no ko jende mo ser anga tam so ko jende ci ifa nga tek ci tendala ci ngam ci am dara wa fi mo ko ware mu ne la halis am dekk bi amu halis wa
dara nga yakka kumba
akumba man koy jaay kilo 40
waaw so
ser na kay ser na trop naka lay def gisiro li demb la ko jël li teew la ko jël li demba wete ni mu dajé wete demo mu ne ni man ko bëgga délo nu ma ko jëndé bala mu yaq sama loxo nu ma ko jëndé nu la koy délo ma haral suba
wala lay mo sen jaay bi so always difficult here
jaay bi dafa metti at li sa nga bay njabot ci kër gi nga ñëw nga jënd sax nga am ci tout nga yubale bi pare da ngay fay pass moto yi seer bu ga dé laati ko ndak be fi ñene tenelas nga fay tabo ko to be yof nga aga
yo fo de
ma ngi deg be wali ngara
ko te nga lay ñëw
ti la def ma kër ma do bet pa garage ak fa fo ma jëndal lu may jënd ma ñëw te defi be bo set
ay ndé def
waaw lu may def sama lal baa ngi ne dama ñëw téléphone muuru foofu nu xaar ci suba
ba jaay nga
jaay tuuti rek sant yàlla moom ba maa ñaan yàlla tamit jaay bi gën a avancé waaw
jamono si ça to dina
nda to mo fan jaay
sorry guys, it's very emotional. It's very, very emotional. This is a young lady. This is another young lady. And what the young lady said in Wolof is, there are no customers. Saying that there are no customers. And because of what? They're turning, customers are coming on, but they are not buying because it's expensive. But she's explaining that it's expensive not to their fault, because of they have to pay what they have to pay to buy the goods. They will have to ensure that they have a little bit of profit from it. And the woman explained that they're selling perishable items. You see, just from there on, the lack of cash explained the inflation in the country. You see, the government salaries are not catching up to the crisis. You see, that's why we said when country economy is run properly, when this thing happens, you try to increase the salaries and stuff like that to adjust it. But there are other things that you do, interventions that you can do, measures that you can take to alleviate the problems. But no. And the woman talked about leaving a family at home. We don't know even if she's a single woman, mother. We don't know. But regardless, even if it's got another a husband at home, the reason for her to spend all day at the market because they need that income to support themselves. This is not to, this is basic, their survival, basics. To feed themselves, that's basic. Maybe pay rent if they are renting. Have food to eat. To pay school fees for their children. These are the basic needs. A country cannot run without this microeconomic delivery. And again, I'll tell you, all the people I heard in this interview are Gambians. That's another to debunk other things. Gambians are not in the markets. Imagine she's a young lady, she talks about fares again. There's another area that the government, for 5 good years, this price structuring is still there. You cannot move from Tabokoto to Serakunda. You have to drop somewhere else, pick another one. Why? Where's the Minister of Transport? Where's the Minister of Trade? What can be done to change this? What have they done? They have not addressed it. They don't care. Things are the way they found them, and they're getting worse. All they do is looking for money, projects that will give them money. Roads, when they build roads, it's because of the amount of money they get from roads building and stuff like that. These are the areas we needed first to build on. But no. Another thing the woman said was she have to wake up 3 a.m. 3 a.m. She have a family. Now, because of the situation, the family is deprived a mother from 3 a.m. and probably the time it get home might be 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Do we realize what that means? Who is looking after those kids? Do we realize what that problem is? Who is looking after those kids? For those hours the woman has been away. What does this do to the woman's health? To waking up 3 a.m. being worried and struggling for all this, having to walk to 𝗙𝗵𝗃, what distance that is, and just to be, to earn something. Just a little to feed yourself. And all these areas, the government is responsible. Government could have sorted out the transportation problems. The policies, transportation problems. In many ways, we're not here to prescribe all that. There are many ways to do that. But I am leaving something out because I'm waiting for them to speak, to take it from them. And the woman talked about sleeping at the market. That's how much they walk in. They said Gambians are lazy. 3 a.m. and they slept at the market because some Gambians are lazy. They just want to turn around. And again, these so-called government supporters, Gambians are lazy, so they may mass foreigners sing of Africa. Motas foreigners in amu Germany. That's not a lie. Ministers here at Baronio amu Germany. Go and check how much they're spending on vehicles every year. How much they're spending on vehicle maintenance. All this is corruption. All those millions of dollars could have been pumped into areas that will elevate poverty. Could have helped this woman. But no. Let's move on to the next, another young woman.
Alex, commonly known as Mother. Alhamdulillah, mbala tentula mbena bije la mbena ulal ko ful fana tentula kalaka no bataje amarse alhamdulillah fi robita kan do manding sandrol be ke kan but like complain over siata e ka fo fengol da ko ya tale to waya dumide iko alle ni wakru fo mi arem de jalu ko abra mablo ko kan le fonda arem mo da ko landi rele mo se da ko mo ma jang alle fonda ko mo ma iko la fo but yaje mo ne kata na problem oti mo kata na problem wala Gambia jang na fenja ma biya ko na Senegal ya understand na butani ka kumbal in green pepper jela ni super mini karoto abi butana Senegal so ya mira CFA is 460 sani CCD o CFA wala klimo 460 ito yo palim yata Senegal ko paso jole bita iminala ida amiro fi fanga da be jila ba fa da be sallan ala da ta jila ada be sallan so na to kom na Gambia agriculture fana mul makoy. You understand? Nim fe jama bi nim ka do kujan aka senani banko ko na jang sikuna da be jila. You understand? Because the mira nka tax mo ngode so high, especially ni flata ports jang. You understand? After paying ports ni muta na kote finko ke charge it basket BBC for transit $10 and your port for na for it basket $15. You move to BBC for transit them $10. After buying all your goods, Transportation on the map on the madam, okay, cost me, and if you feel for is different. So I never got so damn Diano.
That's what in that, and how do you think it's American Bagasso diet?
Bagasso and that Korea, you left apply bang, Jacob no come follow them phone, Wallem, now mix on the local and Sati Korea. You understand? It's just beginning. Everything baby Jen, Muna Toja Puna will in a look work. Nimole do Bagasso da Korea Vigila. And one for not Masakunda in the Kadiamu jail. And Mulmaway. Ninko Masakunda diam, when I come like success will begin. It's a GB. Okay. Now let ports do. I'm generally BBC do for transit. Now tell about BBC do for transit. Then ports. I don't attack instead of basket or $10. I like a basket of Musole $10. BBC out of basket instead of $10. I like a $5. So I get it. Who's pursue manafo. Drive home mana. Karoto. The sound of 20 minutes.
Oh, myself.
I'm sir. I'm killing $10, $15, $20.
Myself.
Spam me 100, 200.
Yeah, sister. You can invite myself.
Spam me both. I bet I can do the safer. Safer item is spam me both. I can safer will nani. Safer will nani 460 for $1,875. Both killing about transport. Safer can miss about. Swami boto the madam market at $2,500 in the Gambia. Yadu the Wilsaba. Wilsaba for any video for the problem. If you're the man, no do that.
I'm not telling you, basically, I feel like Mosey Alcala, name Mumbang, the phone, I recommend. Say, Mumbang, hold me Cocono, and then the Camuco to Senegal. That's me, it's a Murunola, for your time water, Elacodobe Capunoga later, or not to come more be a blue woman. I understand. Come tell us, sister Benyaminte. Samben to plate bulente or Rosnata. Janta can have after that. So not a motor maribu. I don't tell it. If I'm very calculable,
true. Yalom business for Kila business for Bunyala Horoma. Because Kila Baruko business of honor. Want to business land of Kulobo and got us to Rokon. I must through me. Business to choose because of Kabina cool GB, na GB, Kabina cool GB. Now, okay, business all there, now cool base of Nora. I sent him so the Musu follow it. You understand? So, Malafin do Kumali Patako, Malafin Bama Fana Patanian farmer. So, from the cool GB, na GB, now office corner doku. I don't know how to be young or so. Because, well, Niaje welcome malu ilafta munna malo aja hanma di ilafta munna kana malala hanma di ilafta munna miyalo isila ulla society fa society kana malala ake not have a great fair to graduate na MD I did banking and finance up to advanced diploma ndo Martin nan kana firo na ni peta firo na ta deposit bank ndo da bank kana flong wala na class bit ko lettereji ya la ko muna fonye ni ko ma ñu apply bank nga ma ñambay yo le save din ko muna save to ga save market bi no go to for no lo mun ko mana kala tentu na alhamdulillah na ala nabi jaka and it's true ngam mun keno in a game focus in ka if I was working I would not be able to do it so kana for ko like ha ndin nyata on ko tan to firo ka masi no ni na firo ke fa su kebe not na say for din ke jama je nyaadu mulla ajini semester ye nyaadu mulla penteni de male mbade musul na sister sul alhaqu banye de nimbe sile sok na baylo mutana du Facebook tiktok na emit 1 2 3 bidana so gida sot ko liole be mbul ma koy mona be respect la lafta brazil here sanna aba plan ni mala tinna mona je pita ke binaka no ko tonya ni na kai ma kai ba ke wala ko way wona ye futu ake muta butani sabol kilim fa wate so ya je firo ta manyo njar nge hani ke tombo
Thank you again. As I said, I didn't have much to say because they just said it. There are certain things I wanted to point out in the first contribution testimony, but I knew because I listened to the entire program. I knew the others would point it out. It's not the lack of solutions. It's not that the people in charge don't know what to do. They don't care. The traders, even especially this lady, have articulated solutions that could have solved this problem. Let me start with what the lady said again. Senegal. The ladies talked about vegetables coming from Senegal. That's the amount of, that's just to tell you how failed this government is. How failed this government is. Actually, it started from Yahya Jammeh. It started from Yahya Jammeh. But let's just take it from this government, what they could have done better. You see, if the government have come up with a strategy, when you want to develop, you have to have a strategy. Instead, this government just came up with what? The strategy to entrench Barrow. Oh, we have to build roads, bridges. That's what the IMF did, and build a university. And yes, that's how you do it. Not the real stuff that needed to be done. How do we feed ourselves? But the woman said, why would we be importing vegetable? We have the water, we have the soil fertility, we have the agricultural experts. Gambia produced the amount of agricultural experts from Reading University to MIT, different countries, from even the third world, from the Asia, Taiwan, China, everywhere. We have trained citizens all over. How difficult it is to develop sectors. Agriculture, what are we doing? What is the agriculture ministry trying to achieve? Where is all these farm implements we talk about? We have delivery of farm implements. The projects, how many projects did we hear that the international community have been sponsoring? Nothing came out of it because of corruption. The reason is not only is corruption. It's not the lack of know-how, it's the corruption. Again, I will touch onto the fertilizer scandal. The fertilizer scandal, just tell you the level of corruption. Do you know how much of millions go through the fertilizer scandal and to Barrow, up to Barrow? The last scandal, the reason Barrow talked about it on campaign because it was a campaign thing, but what did Barrow do about it? When it was exposed, another minister was named into it. Nothing came out of it. Corruption. But the lady talked about another thing that's safer. Tomorrow I will touch that part of it. This safer issue. Gambia, we will soon be using safer. I mean, the trade deficit. You cannot look at the gap for trade deficit is just widening. What that means is we are importing more than we export. If we are even importing basic like tomatoes, not even cut, fresh tomatoes, pepper, onions. Technically, we importing everything then. And foreign currency, we're going to pay for that. That's why I said that if we don't have a strategy, if we can only achieve one thing is to feed ourselves, I'll tell you the difference it will make. The difference that would make. There's no area that we are feeding ourselves. Not one area said that we are completely dependent on Gambian produce. This is what we should achieve. It's achievable. Why we are not achieving this? Why is Senegal achieving it? Because they are investing and they are delivering on those things to export. Now we become a market. And will continue to be a market. And I hope Gambians understand that dependency culture, what that means. That's a loss of sovereignty. If you cannot feed yourself, you lose your sovereignty. We are losing our sovereignty slowly. We'll get to that tomorrow. The woman explained about fares. Transportation again. Transportation, yeah. The further you go to buy the produce, the more you pay transaction cost. Transport. If this thing was, look at the combo. The combo alone could have been horticultural basket, plus the phone. Makati and other places could have been the rice. Another place could have been something else. Just look at that. But we lost all the land in Fonyi, in Combo. Now we are losing the land in Fonyi. All the land in Combo we lost due to selling of land and government taking reserve lands and everything else. There's no policy. Now we're losing land in Fonyi, giving it to so-called Indians that have naturalized as Gambians. You think they mean to naturalize as Gambians? They are only naturalized as Gambians to benefit from the citizenship, and they are going to turn those land into produce that they are going to export. No, you can just come and buy land and do what you want. Part of the policy would be, even if you are told as a private investor to buy land to produce what you produce and how much you're going to stay on, we have to have something. But no, the people responsible, they don't care. All they care about kickbacks to take home, just as they see the kickbacks of Barrow. How do you think Barrow transformed himself to a multi-billionaire? How do you think Barrow transformed himself? And I said this, go and look at all the young men or men in position now. Most of them were skinny, now they're all looking like pregnant women in the country. Contrast that to people struggling their daily living. The entire population are malnourished. But we are breeding fat cats in position. Let me move it again. The woman explained about solution. The woman said the solution is to produce our own. That's what the woman said. Not only that, the woman talked about tax. It said the tax burden. Now, where is this DRA that said that they were given and then went and gave to people that are not even paying the right tax? They said that the tax compliance. I'll tell you that. I can tell you that for nothing, all of those people they get gift certificates are not paying the right tax. Those are the people giving them kickbacks at the higher level, and the lower level are taking kickbacks from the lower level. They're taking kickbacks from the higher level, they're giving them tax certificate. What about this woman in the market? They are subjected to tax. Not only tax, the women have explained the series of transaction costs they have. And the solution, she said, look, one thing government can do to reduce the cost of living is to take away the transaction cost or reduce the transaction cost. Again, the women have taught 𝗏𝗏 what a government should do. That's what governments do here. Take away VAT or take away the thing. But no, they cannot afford to do that because they are overspending. KMC would take levy, BCC would levy. What do you call it? Transfer or tax. For what reason? Because they are desperate for money. Where is this money going to? These are issues that the women have articulated and give what solutions can be done. Produce at home. And the women have articulated, said we have the resources. And it's right. We have the resources. Where are all those farm implements they took from Yahya Jammeh? They sold it to themselves. They sold it to themselves and their families. Some ministers, their brothers bought 2 tractors, 1 tractor here. There, Ahmad Bab bought some cattle and probably tractors. That's what they did. Where is that land that Yahya Jammeh was cultivating? It's not been cultivated because the people don't have the means to cultivate that vast land. The people of Fonyi were participating in that land cultivation, but the machines have gone. Why could the government not have transferred those machines to the community and support the community with the expertise from the Ministry of Agriculture and for them to produce? No, they sold those tractors to their thing, and they took those tractors, went to Senegal. Some of them sold it in Senegal. That's what they did with it. If this government said the problem is not theirs, they are lying. It's nothing to do with world market price. It's nothing to do with anything else. Gambia could have been a different case. We have we have a small market, yes. We have a small population, yes. Then we should be able to achieve something. It should be easier for us to reach our bank then. By doing things sustainably. No, the women have explained this. The produce at home, we have the resources, and the sectors involved could work together to make things work. For the transaction cost to be reduced. The woman talked about perishable items again. And I'll tell you, what else is done There are many initiatives could have been done for these perishable items to not be a perishable item. After a certain time, these items could have been transformed to be preserved and resold in another way. This are all things that government can intervene by policy, private sector to come in. There are many things you do. You don't have to do it alone. You create the conducive environment. And you know, the finance, do we actually ask what financial support are given to this woman? You see, that's why I said when I criticized the Jawara government, one thing is they had initiative and they had something put in. Tell me one initiative this government have come out with for 5 years. One in any sector. Be youth development, be any sector, agriculture, any sector. Tell me one. None. None, absolutely. And one of the policies could have been the cooperative sector. Cooperative and these things. These are things that work with the small industries or small networks. Help these networks together. The PPP had a thing they used to call IBAS. It was for indigenous business. Help indigenous business to grow with advice, finance, structuring, and so on. That's what IBAS was for. Advise somebody that helps the small businesses in these things. That was one of the initiatives of this past the PPP government. But tell me what initiative, what this government? Nothing. They don't care. It's all about per diem, allowances, projects that they have money and so on. Then that's it. That's why if anybody turn around to support this government, they know this government is not doing right, but they don't care themselves. The lady explained again and said the trade is slow. It's slow because people cannot afford to buy. Not that people don't want to buy. Not that there's not a market for what they're selling, because people cannot afford to buy. Things are going very costly. Salaries are not being increased to match. Because, that's why salary increase alone cannot solve this. You need interventions that can solve this. But the government doesn't care about that. They are avoiding to talk about these things. And another thing the woman talked about being the first child. That is very interesting thing. Being the first child. She's a woman and being the first child. She said, I am setting examples for my siblings. You see, the importance of empowering citizens, this is what it does. It takes responsibility away from government down the line. Because if this woman succeeds, this woman does not only succeed for herself, succeed for her family, and succeed for that community for that matter. The family will be taken care of, the family will be able to pay for schools, family will be able to be productive, that family to contribute and tax, many. That's where we develop an economy. But no. They want to keep everybody poor and they continue to be wealthy, richer for that matter. The woman talked about, the young woman about being the first child. And talked about another thing. Working at the market. Why you not working formally to provide the banks and other things? No. I know this this sector is very productive. I know that. I am making a difference. I am making a difference. And again, this is again to debunk this thing, oh, Gambian girls are lazy. Gambian girls don't want to do these things. It's only foreigners you find in the market. Only foreigners. Gambian youths this, Gambian youths that. It's a lie. Without a conducive environment, without empowering them and anything, some of them are out there. Imagine how many of them can do this. When do we talk about Gambian, no, they are lazy, or they want something for nothing, or they want to be rich overnight, that's why they're taking the back way. It's a lie. There's a woman out there sitting, doing everything, and she's not supported. How sustainable it is. Some of them will go bankrupt. They will be out of business. But the woman have explained the stigmatization about even young people or educated class venturing into trade, markets and other things. A country cannot be sovereign. A country cannot develop without the small and medium business being owned by citizens. We have to be careful. A country cannot continue to be an independent sovereign and to have economic development if the small and medium businesses are not owned by people. If I had time, I would have explained the economic transformation of Japan. And just go and find out. All the major Japanese companies you heard now, Toyota for whatever it is, came out from families, family-owned businesses, small businesses owned by family, PAM. And this is true of even the United Kingdom. Most of the companies you hear here and others came from family. Even in America, anywhere else, came from family. Some market traders, some of the supermarkets you hear in the United Kingdom start from market trading to be a global chain now. But they would have to have support. Not only the hard work they put in, but an environment that allowed them to access loans and allow them to afford, the other things that they need for their business to grow. Not to kill them with tax, transaction costs, and other burdens. But the woman have articulated this to explain, like she's not bothered about this stigma. She's doing things for her own. But not only that, she mentioned that working with the younger sister. That's a family. Imagine supporting a family like this. I'm working with my younger sister. I'm an example. But she's educated. She had a higher diploma in banking and finance. No, I don't want to be a bank clerk. I don't want to go that route. This is where I want to go. This woman can one day be owner of a chain of stuff in that country, if the environment is right. But the woman stressed about a point. You see, when we talk about empowering women, thank you. Ingenious Business Advisory Services, IBAS. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's what it was. And the woman articulated talked about abuse in a sense. If we say we want to empower women, we want to empower the girls, educate them, support them to be financially independent. These are the two. First, I'll tell you, educated, financially independent women would not stand for an abusive relationship. They are less likely, let me put it, they are less likely to stand for an abusive relationship. Because in most cases, this is what keeps them in a relationship that's abusive. She explained this by saying what? The young girls that think that selling is beyond them, selling markets and this beyond them, they don't know what they do. That's why they are relying on men to support them, and that will bring out disrespect. What she said, that if you do things for yourself, able to do things for, and that person comes to your life, he will respect you more. What is more empowering than this? That's why I say, that's what development is. You do this thing, it solves multiple of problems. They are chain related. Development is a chain relationship. That's why they will always ask where the chain is. How do you connect things from the agricultural producer to the trader? How does this connect? Now, how does the citizen come into it? How do you support the citizens into this? The woman explained this. Now, and I'll take a point in this. Yes, it's not all semesters, but the woman said it. And we have to agree. Most of us, especially married ones, we go out there to abuse our sisters. Most of us, especially married ones, going out there to abuse our sisters. It's not talked of. And the woman has said this. If our sisters were more independent, they will be less abused. Why did you, it's not only semesters doing that. We know the same people on top there, in government and the private sector and others, that's what they do. They prey on our sisters because of poverty. Then poverty alleviation start from what? Developing the sectors that help people to feed themselves first. Before you talk about the skyscrapers and anything else. Any form of development, start with producing to feed yourself. Let me move to the next one. As I said, there's not much to talk about this. They said it all. Let me just move to the next one. Just in short, that woman just explained the, she's selling fish. Again, how can fish be that much expensive? Because of the same thing, we have the resources, the government don't care. For 5 years, fish meal factory started before this government. But when government come in, they inherit the infrastructure, and it's for them to maintain and sustain it, develop it, reform it, whatever it is. That's what they elected for. But it got worse in this time. I mean, this fish meal factories. What benefit does it have for the Gambian people? None. Polluting our environment. I mean, the lack of the fish for the people, and go on. And we can jobs are not created for people. There's nothing out there. As I said, things could have been done better. We are not saying we don't accept private investment or foreign investment. All these things can come in, but have to be done right. They have to be structured right to benefit the people. We have to empower the people. We have to have ownership of things. Share ownership, it is what thing is. And the other thing is, the state has resources. Those resources could be invested in these industries. There should be ways and means to do these things. The state have partners. That's the diaspora. Yes, let us not be shy away to say this. We are not here only for remittance. We are here to invest. Look, I know of many investors. I mean, let me touch on this actually. When we talk about produce, of agricultural produce, another sector was policy that would encourage diaspora investment. I know of many diasporans. I know of a brother called what's his name again? Mr. Dabo. He owns a farm, and it's not only a farm. Actually, it turned out in the form of a research center. He have fish. I mean, film, and he have the fish. What you call it? Aqua fish. I mean, all sort of plants and vegetables and fruits and so on, even medicinal plants and so on. He lives in America. His business is money transfer, but he's investing in agriculture. He have hectares. I mean, cultivating this thing in Jara, and have other things in Congo. And I know of other Gambian diasporans in agriculture. Myself and others are into agriculture. But the challenge is, there's no enabling environment. There's a lot of interventions government could have done to make things better, but none. They don't care about that. There's no policy that's supporting anything to happen. Now it's the same thing. Moro farms, Moro farms for the rice production. If you happen to know the challenges Moro farm have to do, you remember we even did programs agitating for the support that Moro farms have to gain, and the investment. Look, there are a lot of things that could have been done, but they just don't care. But the woman talked about fish, talked about petrol prices for fishermen, and she said something, said the situation does not favor them. High prices does not favor them, because what's the problem is they end up not selling, because the people they're selling to cannot afford. Less than 1% of the population can afford certain prices. It's less than 1%. Who are they selling to? Look, that's why when they come around to try to blame the traders, it's not true. The empathy is the Barrow and his cabinet and the technocrats appointed. It's not the women or traders in the market. And again, it's not foreigners. These are all Gambians saying. And to say, oh, Gambians then tell is a lie. It's been debunked again. All these people being interviewed are Gambians. Let me move on to the next one. You know, the woman said it again. The prices. They are not happy with the prices. They say that the price of oil, cooking oil, the cup for $20. $20. How can we not produce our from sunflower for anything that oil comes from? We have it. We can have it in the country. Why can't we achieve this? You see, let me just point out this. I'm a critic of the J1 government. Yes, because of some of the things that they did led us to where we listen. But I'll tell you what, from the Agricultural Research Center, NARI, that all those things got broken up by Jammeh. There were a lot of things in place. Animal husbandry and other things. There were veterinary service. There are a lot of things been broken off by Jammeh. And keep on all these directors, all these educated, these things, research, these things, rice. There was a rice being sampled, nari rice, everything else. But this government, what did this government try to redo? What Jammeh did? No, they just continued the Jammeh route. The infrastructure they inherited, that's how they continued. The personals they inherited, that's how they continued. I'm not saying they are not good people in the system, but they are few and far. And they are not supported by the leadership we have. Good leaders can change things, but bad leaders will just make it rotten. Good individuals among them cannot bring about the change. It's not enough. We need a leadership that would bring out the change. Why can't we not produce the oil for us to consume? Why does it have to be $20? Even if it's $20 and we produce it, but you'll find out the reason it's $20 is important. I'm not bringing out even the cost because of the ports, the inefficiency of the ports and tariff and all the things. But the employment we're talking about, you know, if we have the farms for the sunflower and everything, and we have the factory to process the sunflower, you think we don't need engineers for that? That's where sectors, every sector, you'll have, create employment for every sector. And people would be better off. But no, God knows what oil even they're consuming. Let me move to the next one.
Vegetables and fruits, mostly carrots, cucumber, tomatoes, melons. Wow, you blood vegetables and fruits in general. Wow, man, I do sell wholesale and retail. Kilos, 1 kilos. $50 by $40. So you rate $30 by Ponga Teli Jabutoila. Jabutoila could come Jabu, they would take $5 again because of you damage and you are calling damage after the Kosani. They're more than 10 kilos than you. But I Jabutoila put maybe $10 or $15 on top of it because of more months still long. Jai, some people are eating when you get jai, but they cannot calculate. The business, you must calculate your waste. Man, I do calculate my waste. Sometimes, Munga them Zafeka Pelemogina Yomba. Wafeka Tamin Moilun. Munga, you don't fake a magina Yomba because only my bagas with them. Bagas, you stuff you mean to get Senegal, and I'll take Bini. But Bagassi Chapascota will leave Senegal.
Jackery, Nijafi Massacre, you know, difficult massacre. You are definitely if you do have the end of your massacre, Jeffrey and Nika, because you're necessarily Kakba, $10, Kakuma brand of $15. Equally, you want to master Jackery, then so near a minute. Never miss my well, I'm going to Kunika opinion. Don't Aramunek. You couldn't convey the rest of the Gentarial. For not Dom Aramu days of Panga. Niki munanyo aligel la tek wax la ne li nga def te leeru ko dom arama bi dafa wara mandu lu mo wax mu xam ko mu leer ko foog naa ku nekk nga bor la bàyyi ci këram ñun ñu ci marché bi dañ leen di tuumal ñun tamit ñu nekk ci office dañ dee korop dañ dee sàcc gopp dañ dee def lii dañ dee def lele xam nga ñun tamit dañ ko dee def te ñun leeru ñu waa some people am na ñun ñu leer xam nga aduna moo demee ñun nit ku nekk maynam la dee waxee rek waaye lu ko leer comme yow li nga def nii ñoo find out moo gën man tamit xaj na bala ma wax dara ma def suma finding moo gën waaye ñun Gambia dañ dee spéculer tout mooy te spéculation bi dafa doy waar man xelaatuma ñaanuma ko yàlla billahi wallahi tallahi la wax ni di soxore suma mbokki Gambia because so mënoon naa dem uti li ngeen def ma def ko but man I prefer this way dama dem suma school ba jeexal I graduated as Muslim 2003 but man dama préfère ne lii man moo ma gënal moom laa bugg a def man tamit let me come to the market to do my things here I have my freedom man lii laa gis ne man mooy suma freedom on my own time na own waato suma time bi boobu daal moo bugg a dem fa kenn du ma wax nii kenn du ma wax ne le su ma nee tëj suma bitig bi corona bi tëj naa suma bitig bi 5 months corona bi bi ñu demee 1 o'clock tëj ni 5 months tëj naa ko ma dem ba di bu njawar a toog fu laa dégg ma enjoy sama boobu lekk suma àll. Bos ngeen fii de.
waaw xam nga lu ma la waxee mooy li ma la wax moom nga ma waxaat rek nit ku nekk fi nga nekk foo la sa sutura nekk te alhamdulilah maa ngi see sant yàlla bu baax maa ngi see sant yàlla de te fii dara mu fi de dëgg la difficulté su nekk la de am fu nekk dañ ngi challenge sax ko fa fekk sometimes comme by this time of the season market bi daf dee over difficult daal because of right now am na bagage yu am na bagage yu ñàkk te this year pharmacy dañ face so much difficulties because of ñu ngi wax ne fertilizer amul moo tax bagage amul moo tax this year nañ expect ne bagage bi lu ma gënal de mu yomb waaye yaakaaruma ko because of by this time of the year every time carrot salad mu ngi laan jar $40 $50 but right now $120 cucumber $25 right now it's $50 carrot by this time of the year $30 la doon jar right now it's $70 what cost it it's beyond my control beyond your control te nekkul lu nekk government moo ko war a def dañ wax government rek but ñun we are the government man li ma dee wax mooy Gambia let us change our attitudes suñ change rek mu dem suñ change by force si kaw change but ñun when we don't change xoolal waxuma la Obama de booleel Obama Tony Blair the best president you can name Rwandan president naka that guy Rwandan president ñoom ñëpp soo leen boole nga is leen Gambia when we don't change fuñ nekk rek la ñoo nekk fu ñu nekk rek la ñoo nekk nañ ci attitude suñ ci attitude billahi dëkk bi nañ naa développe bon nag suñ fukka di gas fukka di suul a bàyyi kon da waaye bëri rek waaye du dem ba def fukka di gas ñaar fukka di suul te loolu moo fi nekk de loolu moo fi nekk fii da ngaa nekk gaynde nga mën a liggéey fii si dëkk bi soo nekkul gaynde doo mën a liggéey ñun maket bi sax
just to stop it there. What I mean, what this gentleman just said in Wolof, and again, they have just debunked that issue that Gambians are not in market or young Gambians are not doing this or not doing that. And he's educated. He could have choose to do something else, but he chose to be out there. But just a minute. Hello, Suleiman. Hello. Yeah. Okay. And find out everything. Yeah. So sorry about that. The gentleman just explained some of the similar problems. She's doing wholesale and retail. Again, he's a Gambian. He's young. He's in the market. He's trading. And again, he talked about perishable goods. You see, these are areas we talked about. There's a lot can be done. Why the cold storage or whatever it takes for them to be supported, their businesses to be, sustainable. But the issue again is things are coming from Senegal. Things are coming from Senegal. If, regardless of what we do, if we cannot produce, and we cannot blame the people for not producing, we cannot. And I'm talked about speculation. What he's talking about speculation is people are blaming them traders. It's not that they just want a profit. When they increase, it's not that their profits are increasing. No, they're keeping their margin. They're trying to catch up with the margin. He talked about prices. Their buying prices have been doubling. Buying something before for $25 is now they're paying $50. They expect to put their prices up. And he talked about empathy. It doesn't make business sense. No businessman will sell something that's not affordable. Nobody would buy it. They are there to make money. The reason we should not just take this government excuse or the businesses are not transferring, because the trade minister have said that many times, or they are not passing on. It's a lie. It's the other cost they encounter. But he said something here and tell you how much these sectors can be beneficial for citizens. He could afford to stay for 5 months away during the pandemic because he had made that much to stay away at the time of the pandemic. And he talked about coming from 𝗵𝗿𝗿, but you see, these things as we should put into perspective. Most Gambians, 80% of Gambians come from rural families, and 80% of Gambians come from farming families. You'll be amazed to know that even the Combos used to be farming families. Even Bakau population, part of Bakau population used to be farming families. We used to have our farms in what we call Bakau Kunku, part of pipeline. We used to have our farms around the stadium. Some of our mothers still have their gardens in the swamps or Mile 7 area, an area the government is trying to take from them actually. You see, we are from these communities. It's easier to program this mindset to go back to the farm to this, but we have to do it productively. There's no, it's not that people don't want to work or do things, but where are the policies, the initiatives that will support people to take it up? And most of the people we saw here are young people. They are willing, and other young people could have been encouraged. But yes, they have not interviewed other people who are foreigners, but there are foreigners in the market, and there's lots of them in there. We are not saying that foreigners should not be in the market, but how do we empower to have ownership of these sectors? These are all those areas. These are all areas which are very, very important. We need to know this. We need to know this. And now, an area I disagree with the last person is about leadership. You see, to say that the people have to change for the leaders, I disagree with that. Be Malaysia. The transformation of Malaysia was credited to the leaders. Be it China, the transformation of China was credited to leaders. Be it Rwanda, the transformation of Rwanda was credited to leaders. Be it any great country, the transformation was based on leader. What leadership does? He's talking about attitudinal change. People just don't change attitudes. What leadership does is to provide policies, provide incentive, provide an environment, put in structures, put in, things to do in order for that to influence. That's what they need to do, and that's what we like. Guys, I didn't want it to be this long. As I said, that is from the video is from 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗏. There are other testimonies in there. They are all very important. I just wanted to pick some so that we can do a program from it. But I say thank you again to 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗏 and the journalists that did this program, and they do a similar program of which one they went to women gardens and stuff like that. And I said, when they go to women gardens, the complaint is women gardeners don't have water. They don't have protective fence around their vegetables. They don't have the other tools, equipments, other things that can facilitate, that can transform. The scale they need to build in. How do you help them in a cooperative form? There are a lot of things can be done. From here to Koina, we could have produced different things. We could have produced enough for what we consume and for export to other countries. But we are becoming a consumer market and dependent on that. And if this continue, what it does is Gambia would just be not sustainable as a nation. We'll lose our sovereignty. And other governments are giving incentives to their farmers, their industries in order to export. That's what you do, give incentives where people produce and export. Are we doing that? No. There's many things we can do, not community farming, private investments, cooperative systems, diaspora initiatives that to come in. There are a lot of things that Gambia government can make, but not FAO project 50 million gone. This project 25 million gone, 100 million gone, 300 million gone. We haven't seen nothing from that. If they're serious, they can do it. It's the corruption that's hurting that country, as the traders have just explained. They have their big houses, their big cars and everything. They don't need it. They don't care. The solutions are available. Resources is available, but it's diverted, or the solutions available. They don't have the capacity, or people with the capacity are not empowered to do it. This is what the problem is. Then it's not a people problem, but it's a leadership problem, and we should look at it that way. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good day. Thank you.